Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's to give you the shortcut, the inside track, on a really dense file. We're talking about a major intelligence failure, the IPCRESS incident.
That's right. It's this huge, highly classified report. Looks factual, reads like a thriller almost. Espionage, defection, betrayal.
And not just external enemies. This is about deep internal power struggles right up to the top of British intelligence, and it all swirls around this one code name, IPCRESS.
We're digging into the summary of a specific dossier, M1993-GH222223, a summary that was demanded by the top brass, PH6, the Minister of Defense himself.
Right.
And the moment you step into this world, through the eyes of the operative involved, you just realize how strange, how surreal high-level spying actually is.
Oh, absolutely. That opening scene, it sets it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Our guy, the operative, he's just finished his termination leave from military intelligence.
Yeah, kind of drift.
And he's debriefing the minister. But where? Not some secret office. A private flat overlooking Trafalgar Square.
Surrounded by antiques, Hepplewhite chairs, Sheraton chairs. They're literally peering at each other through an aspidistra plant.
It's just bizarre. It paints this picture, doesn't it? Old-world English tradition sort of awkwardly slapped onto the brutal reality of modern espionage.
That tension, that clash of styles, it's central to this whole file. You've got this rigid, almost stuffy class structure trying desperately to manage absolute chaos.
And the confusion starts immediately. At the very top, the minister, the one who asked for this whole summary.
He pulls out his little notebook, this Morocco-bound thing.
And asks about the main villain, codenamed J. Simple enough, right?
You'd think. But the operative immediately has to correct him. No, minister, his codename has changed to Box 4.
And the minister's reaction says it all. It's just this tired, weary, that's very confusing.
Exactly. It tells you everything. The people supposedly in charge, often they've got the least grasp on what's actually happening on the ground. They're swimming in code names, operational shifts, stuff devised way down the line.
It just highlights how murky it all is, doesn't it? The system itself is opaque.
And for our protagonist, the guy who's about to become, well, unwitting bait in all this, he's just come from the exact opposite problem. 3 years drowning in dreary, soul-crushing bureaucracy.
Okay, let's unpack that. His background. Where's he coming from?
3 years in military intelligence, and the description is just bleak. Long lavatory-like passages, green-painted doors everywhere, just drab.
This is London in December, gray and cold.
Yeah.
And he mentions feeling awkward telling cab drivers, War Office.
Yeah, because they hate to come south of the river. It speaks volumes about this sort of demoralized, slightly grubby existence he's leaving behind.
And the perfect symbol of that world is his old boss, Major Ross.
Oh, Ross. He's the absolute archetype of the career military bureaucrat. You know the type. Follows the rules to the letter.
The file says he prides himself on never drinking gin after 7:30 p.m. or hitting ladies without first removing his hat.
Exactly. And the physical description is just killer. Sparse hair, complexion like a Hovis loaf.
And the mustache. Like flock wallpaper.
Isn't that brilliant? Flock wallpaper. It just screams a certain kind of buttoned-up English mediocrity, rigid procedure, polite hatred simmering underneath.
They interact with Oriental politeness, it says, but it's masking this deep antagonism. Ross loves his rubber stamps and carbon paper.
He does. And here's the kicker, the real insight. Ross's dreariness, his predictability, while it drives the protagonist nuts, it's actually the perfect camouflage for someone playing a much longer, much deeper game. He seems utterly harmless. But our guy, he's escaping this, moving into something completely different. WOOCP.
WOOCP. Sounds deliberately obscure. What is it exactly?
It stands for War Office Operational Control Planning Unit. It's tiny, supposedly the smallest intelligence unit, but also maybe the most important. And the jump in terms of bureaucracy, it's huge.
Also?
They report directly to the cabinet. Straight up, bypassing the entire normal chain of command.
Wow, okay, so that must make them popular.
Oh, intensely unpopular with the other units. The file says they're envied, criticized, and opposed. Everyone resents their power, their direct line.
And their setup reflects that secrecy, right? Housed above these front companies.
Spot on. Adds this layer of kind of street-level realism to their high-level clout. You've got the ex-officers' employment bureau.
Acme Films cutting rooms.
And the Dalby Inquiry Bureau. Perfect cover for a unit that needs to operate under the radar, moving serious resources without anyone noticing.
And getting transferred there, it's a clean break.
Totally. Agents are technically out of the Army, wiped from War Office records if they ever go back, new serial number, civil service track. Complete separation.
And crucially for our guy who's worried about his old pay running out.
Yes, the money. Pay is on an entirely different scale. That's the first hint, isn't it? The whiff of big money, maybe corruption that he's stepping into.
And running this operation is
Dolby. And he is the polar opposite of Major Ross. Elegant, sort of languid, long fair hair, clear complexion, 6'1" or 2. Classic public school type. Projects this effortless authority.
Sounds almost too smooth, too polished for the dirty work. Is there anything else underneath?
Well, the file gives hints. There's this small scar high on his cheek from a German university back in '38. A bit mysterious. Suggests maybe a risk taker, even back then, and it paid off. DSO and bar in '41. Very rare for intelligence. So underneath the polish, there's definitely steel, bravery, maybe ruthlessness too.
And his management style. A contrast to Ross, too.
Big time. No more complex, polite dancing around issues like at the War Office. Dolby gives peremptory, unequivocal orders, just tells you what to do.
And for our protagonist, maybe that's refreshing, after all the bureaucratic waffle.
Exactly. It's clear, even if it's ruthless, Dolby has power and he doesn't waste time getting to the point.
Okay, so he's in. Paperwork done. What's the first order of business?
Dolby throws him straight into the fire. It's urgent, a crisis. Top biochemists are disappearing. 8 of them, high-level guys, gone in just 6.5 weeks.
8? Wow. The Home Office must be frantic.
Worried sick is the phrase used. But Dolby's reaction, it tells you so much about how these departments operate. He sees the threat, yes, but he also sees an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Huh.
Well, top scientists are vanishing.
Absolutely. Job 1 is get the latest guy back, Raven, that's his code name. Late 40s, thick hair, bony nose, disappeared just that morning, 7:45 a.m., never made it to the lab.
Okay, recover Raven.
But job 2, just as important for Dolby, if WOCP pulls this off, they can argue to take over all the Home Office files on these disappearances. It's a power grab, a turf war disguised as a rescue mission.
Bureaucracy in action. So much of intelligence work seems to be about internal politics.
A huge chunk of it. But to get Raven first, our guy needs to know the enemy, which leads to this very unusual training regime.
Draining.
Dolby introduces him to the target, J. Or, as we know, soon to be Box 4. Dolby's got this simple doctrine, know your enemies, like Rommel studying Montgomery, get inside their head.
Okay, makes sense. So how does he study J?
Daily film screenings in this grubby little projection room at Acme Films cutting rooms. Always the same seat, number 22, uncomfortable.
And the film.
It's titled J Leads Warren 3. Surveillance footage, basically. And the level of detail they expect him to absorb is intense. It's about training observation skills.
What kind of details?
It's clinical. Jay's got these small, piggy eyes, a big mustache, apparently cultivated with care, size 10 handmade shoes, a slight limp, and this nervous habit stroking his eyebrow.
Sounds like they've got him pretty well documented. What's his cover?
Oh, something totally bland. Henry Carpenter Import-Export, travels with an associate, House Martin. Handsome guy, camel hair coat, jacket crowns, a little bit flashy, low-life glamour.
And there's more to the training than just watching Jay, right? Something about alertness.
Yes. To keep the staff sharp and alert, Dolby makes them watch crisp Charing Cross Road movies that feature girls in the skim.
Seriously, striptease films.
Apparently, Dolby seems to think any kind of hyper-alertness, even if it's, generated by that, is better than fuzzy thinking. It's definitely a unique management philosophy. Shows the unit's whole ethos, really. Morality take a backseat to results.
Okay. So, unconventional training aside, the mission itself is urgent.
Yeah.
Raven needs to be stopped before he crosses the border.
Yeah, there are 5 specific frontier zones marked on the map. Finland down to the Caspian Sea. Huge area.
Yeah.
Or 2 red flags marked in Syria. They have to grab him before he reaches any of those points.
And Dobby's plan isn't some daring rescue raid.
Nope. It's cold, hard business. He plans to buy Raven back. Treat it like a transaction.
Buy him back. How much?
Initial offer, £18,000. Our guy is authorized to go up to £23,000 if needed.
That's serious money back then.
Very. But Dolby adds conditions. His insurance policy, if you like. Payment after Raven is delivered has to go into a Swiss bank account. Strictly no cash.
No cash.
Yeah.
That keeps WOCP in control of the money flow.
Precisely. And the final critical condition. Raven must be undamaged. He's not just a person. He's intellectual property. He needs to be functional when they get him back.
Right, so the plan is set. Our operative, now using the alias Stanley Beamish, heads out for the first meeting. Where does it happen?
Leader's Coffee House, described as continental style, full of these smooth, slightly rugged types with sun lamp complexions. Perfect spot for villains to blend in.
And he meets Jay, who's going by Henry Carpenter. How does that first encounter go?
It immediately shows you Jay's character.
Yeah.
He sizes up the protagonist's coat, then immediately asks about his expense account.
His expense account.
Yeah. When our guy admits it's only 1,200 pounds a year, Jay is genuinely thunderstruck. Tells him he should be demanding at least 2,000 pounds.
That's amazing. Even across enemy lines, it's like a professional courtesy. Jay respects competence, even in his adversaries.
Exactly. He's a pro. And the place Jay picks for the actual handover, the Barbarossa Club, is just as sleazy and professional.
What's it like?
Well, the front is the Dance to Dessert nonstop striptease review. Little yellow bulbs blinking lecherously. Classy.
Very.
The actual meeting or observation point is the manager's room. It's got this big 6-foot one-way mirror overlooking the gaming room downstairs. Total surveillance.
And down there, at the creme de menthe table.
He sees him. Raven, looking limp, unconscious. Jay and House Martin are right there with him. This is it, the moment of truth.
But something goes wrong with the plan.
Well, seeing Raven like that, clearly drugged or worse, triggers something in the protagonist. He realizes maybe the formal handover isn't going to happen, or Raven will be too damaged. He acts purely on impulse.
What does he do?
He grabs the heaviest thing nearby, a big Olivetti typewriter, and just hurls it straight through the 6-foot observation window.
No, seriously.
Crashes down onto the roulette wheel below. Pandemonium erupts. Total chaos.
A complete breakdown of procedure. Does it work?
In a way, it certainly disrupts things, but Jay's team is slick. In the confusion, as a police raid kicks off because of the noise, House Martin just scoops up the unconscious Raven like a queen's scout with a rucksack and vanishes into the night. Professional.
So Raven's gone again. What about our guy?
He manages to escape down an alley full of dustbins, past someone shouting for spaghetti and chips, apparently, and when he gets clear, he checks his pockets. He finds something Jay must have planted on him. A brand new hypodermic syringe in a little black box. Confirmation Raven was being chemically controlled.
Okay, so plan A failed spectacularly. What's next? Does WOCP just give up?
Oh no, this is where you see their reach, their resources. The action shifts immediately to the Middle East. They activate a key asset out there, a man named Adam.
Adam. Who's he?
Based in a grand villa near Baalbek, Lebanon, ex-drug runner. Knows the region inside out. Described as a fine judge of horses, wines, and heroin.
Sounds colorful.
Very. His salary is virtually unlimited. But again, the key rule. No cash. Dalby keeps control. Adam is their man on the ground for the recovery.
So a second attempt. Where does this go down?
An ambush. On a mountain road inland from Beirut. Our protagonist is on lookout duty. It's 3:32 a.m. Pitch black. Dalby himself is there to handle the messier part.
Dalby. The elegant boss. Get his hands dirty.
Oh, yeah. The protagonist notes Dalby is a natural hooligan under the Savile Row suit. He uses a sticky bomb described like 2 cans of soup, end to end.
But sticky bomb.
But specifically designed not just to blow up the target car, a big gray Pontiac carrying Raven, but to spread napalm through the visors.
Napalm. Why?
Dalby explains. Burnt, not blown up cars, he says. Don't worry policemen the way blown up shot up ones do. It's about making the aftermath look less suspicious, cleaner, officially. Horrifically cynical.
Yeah, that's grim. Doesn't work this time.
The bomb hits the Pontiac. But then, disaster. A second car appears out of nowhere, a Nash, and it's full of Americans.
Americans? Who?
ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence Agents. U.S. Navy spies. They get caught in the ambush, too.
So it's a complete firefight.
Ends up a triple car wreck. 2 burning fiercely. But in the chaos, they grab Raven. Dalby immediately gives him a shot of morphia from a syringe, keeps him quiet, ensures he's undamaged for delivery. Okay. Fulfilling the contract, even amidst the carnage.
How does our protagonist react to all this? The burning cars, the bodies?
He throws up, as inconspicuously as possible, the file notes. It's the raw human reaction to the brutal reality of Dalby's methods.
And Dalby's comment on the dead ONI agents.
Cold as ice. Basically says they deserved it for not sharing intelligence beforehand. Collateral damage is acceptable if it serves his primary objective. Information hoarding justifies killing allies, in his view.
It really paints a picture of Dalby's operational morality, or lack thereof. Get the asset back, nothing else matters. Okay, so they have Raven back, albeit violently. Does Dalby offer any explanation for what Jay was actually doing, beyond just kidnapping?
He does, surprisingly. He reveals Jay's registered operation. It's a research unit based in Aargau, Switzerland, and they're focused on this concept called synthesized environment.
Synthesized environment? What on earth is that?
It sounds weird, but it links the spying directly to some quite advanced manipulative psychology. The theory comes from this odd observation.
Yeah.
Apparently, an unskilled Greek laborer on a Greek island learned faster working in a factory in Germany than he did in a brand new factory built by Germans on his own island.
Okay. That is strange. Why?
The theory is the environment is key. In the German factory, everyone around him was confident, knew the job, efficient. That atmosphere, that synthesized environment of competence, allowed him to pick things up quickly. Back home, even with German tech, the environment might have been demoralized, uncertain, raising barriers.
So how does that apply to kidnapping scientists?
Jay's thinking is if you put a target like Raven into a completely controlled environment where everyone acts confident, knowledgeable, maybe even loyal to a new ideology, the target's own critical thinking, their own loyalties start to break down, they become suggestible. It's about disarming them mentally.
Wow, that's subtle. And Dolby knew about this.
Admits WOOCP has a file on it, acknowledges its potential. It's not just about factory work, it's about psychological manipulation.
Meanwhile, our protagonist is digging deeper into Jay's background. What does he find?
Gets access to the green file top security clearance stuff, learns Jay's real name, Christian Stukowski, former Polish Army intelligence.
Polish intelligence.
Yeah. But there's a gap in his record. Then he pops up in Cairo. And there's suspicion from Polish counterintel back then that the Germans might have turned him way back in 43. He's got a history of playing both sides, a professional turncoat.
Okay, so Jay's a known quantity, sort of. And the investigation starts pulling in other departments.
Right. They bring in Captain Carswell from H38, the statistical office. He's an interesting character, left a fancy cavalry regiment for a desk job as a kind of quiet rebellion. Now he tracks S1 scientists linked to espionage cases.
The statistician tracking spies, how does that work?
He uses data, correlation, looking for patterns. And he comes up with this really startling analytical hunch. He finds a link between consensus areas with a high incidence of scientists defecting or disappearing and two specific factors in the subjects themselves.
What factors?
1, they'd recently had a fever. 2, they held strong right-wing political views.
Wait, fever and right-wing views. And he thinks this makes them susceptible to communist thought reform. That sounds completely backwards.
It does, doesn't it? But we need to unpack the thinking behind it, the intelligence theory at the time.
Okay, explain.
The idea wasn't that right-wingers secretly wanted to be communists. It was about the structure of their thinking. A rigid, dogmatic ideology, whether left or right, might make a mind more vulnerable when it's put under extreme stress. The fever provides the physical weakness, maybe heightened emotional state. The stress breaks down the existing rigid belief system, and once it's broken, the theory went, the mind is looking for another rigid structure to cling to. So a broken right-wing dogmatist might be strangely receptive to having left-wing dogma implanted, simply because it offers structure again. The rigidity itself is the weakness they exploit.
That is incredibly cynical.
Yeah.
And disturbing.
Yeah.
It reframes the whole thing as psychological demolition.
Exactly. And the violence keeps escalating. They get confirmation House Martin, Jay's associate, is dead, found murdered, naked, bizarrely dressed in an inspector's uniform, dumped at Shoreditch police station. Jay's people clearly cleaning house, silencing loose ends, crossing him off the files.
Shows how ruthless Jay's operation is about security.
Absolutely. And this trail leads the investigation to a specific location, 42 Acacia Drive, nicknamed the Haunted House.
What do they find there?
It's like a snapshot of the process. Oxygen cylinders, a safety harness, an old blood stain on the floor, Group O, tools of the trade, whatever that trade is.
Creepy. Any other clues?
The clincher comes from Kitely at the Criminal Records Office. He finds an old film tin. Inside, not film, but audio tape.
What's on it?
When they play it, the sound is just horrific. Described as abstract, an undulating wail and horizonous mule, bleeding, braying, yelping, howl, utterly nightmarish.
What is it? Animal sounds?
Machinery. Forensics analyzes it. The conclusion. It's composed entirely of human voices. Distorted, manipulated, but human.
Oh my God. That's chilling.
And this is where Dolby's tech advantage kicks in. His big IBM machine, that's WOOCP's edge, correlating data points no human could track.
So the machine connects the dots.
Connects the group of blood, the oxygen gear, the harness, the haunted house address, and this horrifying tape connects it all into one pattern, a method of psychological torture and manipulation.
And the name for this method?
The machine spits it out, the name of the operation, the process they're up against, IPCS.
IPCRESS. We still don't know exactly what it stands for, but it's clearly something clinical, methodical, and terrifying.
Right. And just as they're starting to grasp the what, the how gets personal, Dalby sends the protagonist on a new mission. Completely different setting.
Where to?
Tokwe Atoll, out in the Pacific. Supposedly just as an observer for a big American bomb test. Maybe a neutron bomb, something advanced involving U-238, an SUVOM trigger, high-level stuff. But the assignment isn't what it seems.
It's a setup.
It's a huge setup, and the background context is critical. The CIA guys there, Major Skip Henderson, confirm they've got a massive leak problem.
A leak from there.
EW-192, some high-level CIA relay station. They call it a multiple leak. Been going on for 8 months. Huge amounts of diverse scientific data just pouring out. Confirms Jay's network, or whoever is behind this, is global and deeply embedded.
So the protagonist lands right in the middle of this paranoia.
Exactly. And while he's on the actual testing tower, Skip Henderson's assistant, Lieutenant Barney Barnes, an African-American officer, pulls him aside, gives him a warning.
What kind of warning?
A really cynical, world-weary one. Barnes tells him flat out, you are the target. This isn't about observing a bomb. It's an internal intelligence operation aimed at you.
Why warn him?
Seems like a moment of professional conscience, maybe? But even the warning is wrapped in this deep mistrust. Barnes reveals he's using his own sergeant, another tall black man, as a decoy.
A decoy.
Yeah, because in Barnes's bitter words, he figures most tall niggers look alike to pale faces. It just shows the layers of cynicism and racial tension running through even allied operations. He basically tells our guy to run, disappear, light out.
But it's too late.
Far too late. The trap springs, the protagonist is arrested, roughed up, and then they hit him with the psychological hammer blow.
What's that?
They show him a body, horribly scarred, naked, Corporal Steve Harmon, and they tell him he killed Harmon. It's a complete lie designed to break him, implant guilt. The first step of the breakdown.
This was all orchestrated by Dalby.
Cold-bloodedly. We find out later how intricate it was. The brigadier from Tokwe spills the beans. Dalby faked evidence, used a motorcycle and a wooden plank too small for radar to pick up to simulate a car crossing a road at the wrong time.
To do what?
To create an accident. He rigged high-tension wires to electrocute Barnes, the guy who gave the warning, used him as the decoy that Barnes himself suspected. Then Dalby dumped a high-speed camera near the protagonist's car to frame him perfectly for everything. It's diabolical planning.
So our guy is framed, arrested. Where do they take him?
He thinks he's in a foreign country. His guards speak Hungarian. They give him some vague indictment, enemy of the state. Then a phony British embassy guy shows up, says London can't help him, basically abandoning him to a Hungarian trial, all designed to increase the isolation and despair.
But it's not Hungary, is it?
No! That's the horrifying realization, the core of the IPCRESS setup. He starts noticing little things. The guards aren't really Hungarian. One of them, KK, the mustachioed one, he's British, he figures it out. He's not abroad, he's in London.
Where in London?
Wood Green, in North London. In a purpose-built facility designed for, as he puts it, Brainwashing Incorporated.
Brainwashing Incorporated.
Chilling.
So this is where IPCRESS happens.
This is the factory, and the source material goes into the methods used there, methods aimed at total psychological destruction before they even start the thought reform.
Let's break those methods down. What's the first stage?
Mental isolation. That's phase 1. It's about destroying your sense of time and place. They use the weird temperature changes, sudden heat, sudden cold, constant light from a 200-watt bulb, then total darkness. Screws up your body clock completely.
And in the fake location, feeds into that.
Absolutely. The phony ambassadors, the fake Hungarian guards, it all creates this profound uncertainty. Where am I? Who can I trust? Pavlov showed this kind of disorientation makes the mind fatigue much faster, makes you more suggestible.
Okay, so isolation first. Then what?
Then comes what they call group therapy, or memorizing dialectic. But it's twisted. This is where that horrific audio tape comes in.
The one with the human voices, the howling and wailing.
That's the one. They don't just play it loud for torture. They use it during these forced therapy sessions. It ramps up the emotional tension, makes people incredibly vulnerable, almost feverish. In that state, they might grasp onto the new ideology being fed to them just for a sense of relief or certainty.
Using psychological distress to make people compliant. Awful. Is there anything else? More extreme methods.
There's mention of the water tank method, though apparently it was deemed too sensational and abandoned for this operation.
Water tank. What did that involve?
Total sensory deprivation. You're masked, breathing through a tube, suspended face down in water, kept exactly at blood heat.
Why blood heat?
To eliminate the sense of touch, the boundary between your body and the water. You lose all physical reference points. Leads to total disorientation, confusion, hallucinations eventually.
And they'd feed information then.
Exactly. At those moments of peak vulnerability, when reality itself is dissolving, utterly terrifying potential.
And underpinning all this, there was actual scientific research.
Yes, the appendix mentions abandoned research into something called TAP.
TAP.
Tricyanidaminoprotein, research by a Dr. Holger Heiden in Göteborg. This stuff apparently worked on a neurological level. It could chemically alter brain nerve cells, change the fatty substance, the protein structure, decrease the RNA in the surrounding membranes.
What was the effect?
Dramatically increase suggestibility. Basically, it chemically prepped the brain to accept thought reform. That they were even researching this stuff shows the terrifying clinical depth of the IPCRESS project. It wasn't just rough treatment. It was applied, morally bankrupt science. Okay, so somehow our protagonist survives Wood Green. He escapes, actually gets help from a decent ordinary bloke named Alf Keating, but he knows he's still in deep trouble.
Who does he turn to?
His friend, Charlie Cavendish, an undercover guy working for CSICH, another intelligence branch. He trusts Charlie.
But this world trust is dangerous.
Tragically so. Charlie is murdered shortly after they meet.
Killed. Why?
Mistaken identity. He was wearing the protagonist's light blue raincoat, which he borrowed. Jay's network was still hunting our guy, and they killed Charlie by mistake.
Oh, no. That's brutal.
And it's the final piece of the puzzle for the protagonist. He realizes Jay's people did it, but then he learns something crucial. Jay immediately ran to Dalby to get the murder hushed up, blacked out, because Charlie had sensitive government connections.
Wait. Jay ran to Dalby, his supposed target.
Exactly. Why would the kidnapper run to the head of the agency trying to stop him? Unless
Dalby wasn't trying to stop him. Dalby was working with him.
That's the horrifying realization. Dalby is the leak. Dalby is the traitor.
So what does he do? Armed with this knowledge.
Pure instinct, pure rage. He goes straight back to Dalby's house, manages to peek through a window, and he sees it. The final confirmation.
What does he see?
Dalby, meeting with KK, the Hungarian guard, whose real name is Swainson. And who else is there? J-A-Y. All three of them, together.
A whole conspiracy right there in the room.
As the protagonist thinks, the Prince of Evil is chatting with the head of the department, Dalby, the sophisticated chief of WOOCP, selling out his country, feeding scientists to Jay's brainwashing machine.
Unbelievable. Does he try to confront them?
Before he can, he gets grabbed. And guess who grabs him? Murray. The guy he always distrusted. Dalby's heavy.
Oh, so it's over.
Yeah.
Dalby wins.
Not quite, because Murray isn't just Murray. He reveals his true identity. Lieutenant Colonel Harriman, Special Field Intelligence.
Murray was undercover too. Working for who?
Working for Major Ross.
Ross. Flock wallpaper mustache Ross. From the dreary War Office.
The very same. Harriman reveals Ross suspected Dalby for years. Ross masterminded this entire incredibly long counter-operation to expose him. Ross put Murray Harriman inside WOOC. Ross let the protagonist get transferred, knowing he'd likely become bait.
So Ross was playing the long game all along, using the protagonist.
Using him as calculated, low-tech human bait to flesh out Dalby's high-tech, high-level treason. Harriman then proceeds to arrest Dalby.
Oh, okay, let's just pause on that. The contrast. Dalby with his IBM machine, his psych theories, his Swiss accounts.
Yeah, all that sophisticated apparatus.
Beaten by Ross, the boring bureaucrat, who just used patience, observation, and one well-placed human spy, Murray.
It's a triumph of old-school human intelligence over the fancy stuff. Ross understood the system, understood Dalby's arrogance, and just waited. He was the real master manipulator here.
So Dalby's arrested. What about Jay? Stokowski.
They pick him up separately, and the scene is just perfect Jay. He's in this immaculate kitchen, looks like an operating theater, wearing a cook's apron, preparing lobster.
Lobster, while running a global brainwashing ring.
Apparently, total composure. He casually admits the scale of his operation, nearly 300 people I've processed.
Good grief. What was his motive?
Ideology.
He claims it was money, says he sold the concept brainwashing for antisocial elements and acted as a talent scout for the Kremlin, but his real loyalty seems to be to his own terrible idea, its efficiency, its genius. He's arrested by Ross's people. Cool as you like.
And this final confirmation, Dalby and Jay working together, it finally gives us the meaning of that acronym. IPCRESS.
Yes. The file spells out IPCRESS stands for Induction of Psychoneuroses by Conditioned Reflex with Stress. Induction of psychoneuroses by conditioned reflex with stress.
Oh.
It's chillingly clinical. Describes exactly what they were doing, using stress and conditioning to break people mentally and implant new responses. Psychological warfare run by Dalby for the Soviets.
Precisely.
And Ross knew. He knew the protagonist was clean. How?
Ross tested him, offered him access to some other highly sensitive file, the Al-Gamhuriyah file work. Our guy turned it down. Not because he was tempted, but because he was suspicious of why he was being offered it. That refusal confirmed his loyalty to Ross. Ross knew he wasn't compromised, making him the perfect bait. He risked him, yes, but it was calculated. The dreary bureaucrat outplayed everyone. #tag outro.
So the IPCRESS fiasco is exposed. What's the fallout? Does everyone get what they deserve?
Well, it's messy, political. Dalby is killed soon after his arrest. Conveniently silenced, you might say. No messy public trial revealing cabinet-level secrets.
And Ross, the mastermind?
Ross gets promoted, as you'd expect. He won.
What about Jay? Locked away forever?
Detained, yes. But the file notes he's still efficient. Apparently seen attending conferences with Ross later on. And when he was arrested, mid-lobster prep, he calmly changed into a gray-green mohair suit and put on a nuclear disarmament badge.
A nuclear disarmament badge.
Yeah.
While working for the Kremlin. The sheer nerve.
It suggests he's adaptable, maybe still useful, his self-assurance utterly intact, a survivor in his own twisted way.
And our protagonist, the pawn in all this.
He gets his back pay, starts to recover from the trauma, the psychological battering, and you're left thinking about that line Dalby had about them moving in from opposite ends to the same conclusion.
Yeah, what was the conclusion?
For the protagonist, it was survival, maybe retaining some shred of integrity. For Dalby, it was efficient evil and ultimate failure. Very different ends.
But the game isn't really over, is it?
Never. Despite the arrest, the file on Henry, the unknown contact who tipped Jay off right at the end, that file remains slim. The system didn't catch everyone. The threat continues.
Which leads us to the final act, our protagonist's insurance policy.
Ah, yes. In this world of betrayal, you need leverage. He goes back to find his old jailer from Wood Green, KK, the fake Hungarian, Swainson. Gives him money, forged passports to disappear, an act of something. Maybe pity, maybe calculation.
And the jailer gives him something in return.
He does. An address. Just an address. 19 Stanislavskaya Street, Moscow.
19 Stanislavskaya Street, Moscow. Why is that significant?
That address. It's the headquarters of Semachush, the KGB's counterintelligence directorate, the deadliest enemy spy agency on the planet.
So his insurance policy is held by the KGB.
That's the implication. In a world where your own side used you, tried to destroy your mind, where loyalty is meaningless, maybe the only guarantee of survival is making sure the other side knows you exist, knows what you know.
It's utterly bleak. And it leaves you, the listener, with a final thought. Jay, Christian Stokowski, the efficient monster who ran IPCRESS, apparently has the gall to invite the protagonist to dinner after all this.
Given everything you now know, the betrayals, the manipulation, the sheer ruthlessness of Jay, should you accept that invitation? What does survival even mean in a game like this?
When your safety net is held by Ismer Esmeching, that's where the analysis stops. And maybe the real worrying begins.